Okey, selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pagi ini kita sekali lagi bersama di sesi Resensi di Kota Buku, di mana setiap hari Jumaat kita akan buat resensi buku, pelbagai buku, daripada buku umum, buku akademik, buku kanak-kanak dan sebagainya. Dan pagi ini kita rasa bertuah kerana kita menjemput Puan Aunty Mohana Gill, seorang kita boleh panggil seorang penulis yang prolific lah, dan juga yang tidak pernah mengenal jemu. Dan beliau juga ni bukannya bila dah menulis buku tu, banyak pencapaian yang kita lihat daripada hasil-hasil karya dia. Dan yang terbaru, Aunty dianugerahkan, kalau kita tengok anugerah buku negara sebagai ni
for best of the best.
Untuk anugerah buku negara untuk best of the best, buku salah satu buku ni, buku food tesis ni best of the best, maknanya dia kalau government award tu dia jadi juara dunia. Kemudian satu lagi, kalau yang kita akan review buku ini, buku hari ini, satu siri buku tentang pemakanan sihat untuk kanak-kanak, Hayley Happylicious series. Buku ni kalau kita nak update, dia baru memenangi anugerah Nautilus Book Award. Daripada Kanada, dan juga finalis untuk Book Excellence Award. So yang ni memang kalau kita tengok bila kita tulis buku tu, kalau diiktiraf oleh pihak luar, maknanya buku tu memang bukan sembarangan buku lah, maknanya kita harus berbangga lah, sebab inilah pencapaian Malaysia, dan juga inilah maknanya hadiah Malaysia kepada dunia. So untuk tidak membuang masa, saya akan mempersilakan Aunty Mohana Gill untuk memulakan buku resensi buku. Dan saya mohon maaf sebab resensi buku kali ini akan dijalankan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Sebab saya rasa Aunty boleh menerangkan idea dia dengan lebih baik lah, tentang apanya buku tentang ni, buku Hayley Happylicious series ni. Dipersilakan Aunty.
Thank you. Good morning. Morning. Today I'm going to talk about my new series. It's called the Hayley's Happylicious series, and this series of books is a series of 8 books. This is basically for children from about 3 years old to about 8 years old. And the whole idea of writing this book is to make children aware of and the importance of healthy food. As you know, children are the most important people in this world. They are our future. And we really need to take care of our future children. And one of the basic things for children is makan. In order to grow, you have to eat. I mean, you can become a doctor or an engineer, whatever, but before you can do all that, you really have got to eat and keep yourself healthy. So that's what these books are all about. And I also feel very strongly that we have got to start our children from the time that they are very, very small, to show them, let them touch, let them feel, let them smell, let them taste. I'll give you an example. I have a 2-year-old grandson now. So whenever he comes to the house, we just let him play with food. I'm cooking there. While I'm cooking, he'll be sitting and he'll be cooking, he'll be chopping. He touches everything to feel the smell, the colors of the vegetables. So that's how people get used to eating good food. And they also know tomatoes are good for you because it makes you healthy, or spinach is good for you because it makes you stronger. So these books are like in a very fun kind of way. It tells you stories to children about different kinds of fruit and a little bit about the nutritional value. Tapi tak berapa banyak lah. You don't have to go into details of calories or anything. Just to say that it is good for your eyes, or carrots are good for your skin, or cucumber is good for your skin. Very simple. And these books are all fully illustrated. So they're colorful and the children then like to read the books. And this is a series, one of its kind, because this book has got information about fruits and vegetables or seeds or whatever. Then it has got, every book has got 3 stories. So you can read to the child a story about how a particular seed has come, or how the durian grows, or there's a story about a durian, or a rambutan. So we've got stories, and the most important part is that all the books have got recipes. Very, very simple recipes which the children can do by themselves, or they can do the recipes with their moms. And I think that children will always eat what they cook. So if you have a cooking demonstration and you get a few big children and you tell them, you cut the cucumber, you potong this one, or you just bring the tomato and give it to me, and they find that they are part of the whole process of food, and then they will eat it. One of the reasons I wrote this book, because from my other big books, the mothers used to come to me and say, what do we do, Auntie Mohana, because our children don't eat fruit and vegetables. So I thought that if we can start children telling them about fruit and vegetables in a fun kind of way, and then they will eat. There's no point in telling a child, eat this, he won't eat it. But then he also will eat when he sees you eating. So when we all eat together and we eat, he will also point and say, I want to eat this, I want to eat this, and they try. And from very, very young, you will be surprised how much their taste buds are. They know what is sour, what is chili, what is spicy. So they get to taste all these foods. And also the food is cooked in a fun kind of way. Because when you're dealing with children, right, the food has got to be, of course, healthy. The food has got to be delicious. The food must also look nice. If you cut your fruit into one plastic container and you give it to the child, he may not want to eat it. But if you put the fruits on a plate and you have the yellow color and you've got the green color and you've got red color, then he will look at all these beautiful colors and then he will want to eat. And it is not easy to get children to eat healthy food, but we've got to try, because they are our future and we really need to take care of these people. I always say that it is always easy to build strong children than to repair broken men. Because by the time we reach our age, it's already too late. Huh? So we really need to start our little ones from very small. And the other thing is book. I think the other day I was talking to somebody and they told me, oh, do you know that books are going to go out of fashion now? All the children want to play with the digital and with iPads. But I really don't think that books should go out of fashion, because the children can feel the book, they can touch the food. Imagine trying to put reading a bedside story to your child with a tablet. But at least if you have a book, the child can turn the pages, look at the pictures, and they are so much more better. And reading also gives you, you can read your eyes, when you move, you can feel it. So reading, I think, is one of the most important things, and we've got to start our children to read from very young. That's why these books have got stories. So they can read the stories by themselves, or mommy and daddy can read at night before they go to bed, bedtime stories about fruits, about fairies, or whatever it might be. So this is the whole thing. And the other thing, I think, all these books are on food, because my main area of interest is food, right? So all these books are about food that Mother Nature produces, we get from Mother Earth. As you know, today the obesity rate of children around the world is 30-40%. Malaysia, we're catching up very, very fast. All our children, you know why? Because they're all running to Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, all this processed food, and even a lot of the other foods, a lot of processed foods. So I'm trying in my small little way to try and see if we can get the children to focus, to eat more natural food that our grandmothers used to eat, food that we were brought up with, And the children, for example, today, right? You ask somebody, where does the pineapple come from? Supermarket. Because everything that they buy is from the supermarket. So they don't know that. So these books will show you where the pineapple grows, what the pineapple tree looks like, so that they get an idea. Even chicken, for example, and you ask the child where the chicken comes from, he says supermarket because he's never seen a chicken, right? So what I want to do in my little way is to go back to nature, talk about nuts. Nuts are very good for you. There are lots of vitamins in nuts. The seeds are very good for you. Grains, pulses, to eat all these things. But having said that, I'm not advocating that everybody should become a vegetarian. No. I think you should eat what you enjoy eating, but consciously, if you add a little bit more healthy food in your diet, in terms of fruit, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and if you look at this series of books, there's also a book on chocolate. And somebody said to me, chocolates? Yeah, because a little bit of chocolate is good for you, as you know, dark chocolate. So we introduce children to chocolate, and the book also tells them that, how is chocolate produced? It comes from, children don't even know that you get your chocolate from cocoa. So what does the cocoa tree look like? How is the chocolate processed? So it's a lot of information, interesting information. And the other thing with any kind of a book is that a book is something you can hold forever, right? And you can buy books for your children, and it may be lying in their room for a long time. One day they might just pick up the book. And so I also feel that we as parents or grandparents or whoever, if you want to give a gift to a child, give him a book. Take a book and give it to him. He may not read it today, but tomorrow, day after tomorrow, he might pick it up and he might read. So I think these are the little things that we need to give to inculcate in our children the reading habit. It is a very, very important habit, whether you read in VM or whether you read in English or you read in any other language. I think the whole idea and discipline of reading is very, very important. Sometimes when you go to a restaurant to eat, right? In the evening you find a family will come in, a mom, dad and 2 kids. They come in and they sit down, they order the food. Immediately, each one will take out their little gadgets to play with, and nobody talks to anybody. They have the makan, they play with their gadgets, and they go home. Books also teach you interpersonal relationships. You can read a book and then you can say, hey, you read that story about the durian, what do you think about it? So you can talk about these things. And I think it lends to a lot of social interaction as well. A lot of our younger children don't know how to react with each other because they are playing all the time with the little toys. Sometimes they go for a play date with their families, with their friends, and each one will take their little gadget and each one will sit there and play with that and come back. So I think one of the most important things in our lives are books. And you start the children with books from the time even they were 6 months old or 1 year old, let them see books around them and read to them. I think it's so important to read to the children. And interesting stories, little stories, and if you, of course, because my area is food, right? So you can tell them stories about food, about the tomato, about the corn, or there are lots and lots of little stories about all these fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. And some of these books you'll find, like for example, the nut book, right? The children go into a garden and they meet a little squirrel. So the squirrel will then take them and tell them stories about the nuts. So it becomes a little bit more interesting. Similarly, when we talk about seeds, there's a family of birds. The birds tell the children about the different kind of seeds, whether it is sunflower seed or whether it is chia seeds or whatever it may be, so that the stories become a little bit more fun and the stories become a little bit more interesting. Yeah? Is there anybody wants to ask any questions, or what else would you like me to?
Question.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
What do you say to parents who during dinner time they have something against children, like playing with their food? Like the parents present something new to the children are expected to be very good mannered, like to finish their plate. Like, what do you have to say to
I think dinner time should also be a fun time, although technically the children should be able to sit down and eat their food, but I think playing with the food a little bit is fine, because they've got, I'll give you from my experience, a 2-year-old, right? He will eat his food, but when he's like half full, then he wants to play with food. So that's fine, and sometimes although we encourage our children to take a spoon and a fork and they eat, if they want to eat with their hand, with their fingers, because they want to touch the food, because they want to, I think to a certain, as long as the children are not taking food and throwing at each other, I think a little bit of play with food is, personally, I think it is fine. I don't think that's a problem.
I think back to the book.
Yes.
Maybe we want to know, there's 8 books. What is the book all about? From what we have from the 8.
Yeah, the 8 books, like for example, the book on seeds, right? You have a little bit of, you have information about the seeds, and each book, for example, the seed book will tell you about, let me see, yeah, you have sunflower seeds, so you know how you can eat the sunflower seeds, a little bit about the nutritional value, flaxseed, what flaxseed is good for, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, sesame seeds, and the stories are also about the sesame seed, like Alibaba, open sesame, that's where we get the story. So it's got information, a treasure of information on the various, whether it is seeds or whether it's nuts, and then you've got stories, the gift of flax, how the flax seed came about, short little stories which you can read very happily to your children. And I think the fun part of the book is the recipes, where after, say for example, today, this weekend we are going to take our children into the kitchen and we are going to make some muffins or whatever it is, using chia seeds or using sesame seeds. And while we are doing all that, you can tell them the goodness of these seeds. You can tell them the story of how the flaxseed came about. Yeah, the story about the chantilly and the sesame seeds. So from one book, there's so many things that you can learn. You can learn about the seed or the fruit itself. Then you can learn about, you've got stories about the fruits, a little bit about the nutritional value, and then you can play with all the recipes. And I think in today's age especially, I think cooking is becoming very, very important. And if you look on television, you see all the little chefs all over the world, and all the little children are getting very, very interested in cooking, in simple cooking, and playing with food. For example, if you are looking at fruits, and what I do when I talk in Malaysia is I'm trying to emphasize on what we grow, not buying from other countries, but what we grow. We are a very rich country. We've got beautiful fruits. We've got watermelon, we've got rambutans, we've got jackfruit. So for example, you can do in a fun kind of way, you show the child how to make a watermelon pizza. Everybody loves pizza, right? But watermelon pizza? No. So you cut the watermelon into round, and on the top you can put a little bit of gula melaka, you can put a little bit of seeds, you can put a little bit of fruit, and you cut it up like little pizza, and everybody will eat it. So a lot of the recipes in these books, and all these 8 books, are not the recipes where you have to stand in the dapo and you've got to goreng and masa. No. Or most of the recipes here are just playing with fruits and vegetables, putting it all salads, putting it together, and making it colorful and making it delicious. Yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Ali.
I know. Yes.
Nowadays, as you know, the digital or smartphone is a part of youth lifestyle, and we also acknowledge the trade
Yes.
that made by using smartphone. If you will not make some border on how to use it, but from our research, preliminary research, we find out that Gen Z or Gen Y, 7 to 19-year-old, beside they like physical book, more than 50% also they find that they also read through smartphone. I want to ask Auntie, do you have any plan after this to enrich the medium, the content that you have to other new media form?
Yes, I do. Because I think we have to go along with the times, right? We will still keep our physical books like that, but I think that there are plans to maybe do some apps or maybe do some e-books, or I'm not very familiar with the digital world, but whatever is necessary and whatever is in demand, I guess all these books can be converted very easily, so that we have both, the book as well as the apps, and then and that can be enjoyed. Yeah, we've got to go with the times, right? Yeah. Yes.
Auntie, I saw your book Fruit Tastic Malaysia. So what do you think about our fruit? Because sometimes I think our fruit is good, but it's underrated.
Yeah, there's a saying, isn't it? What you have, you don't value, but you always value what you have. And actually, this is a very, very old book, I forgot, I should have I've just published a new book, which is a series. This is a series of Hayley's books, and it's called Hayley's Fantastic Malaysia, which is just in the printers with MPH now. There we talk about the Malaysian fruits. You see, the thing is that we are very lucky. We've got really, really very, very good fruits, which are reasonable. We can get them all year round. For example, banana, watermelon, and of course now at this particular point we've got lots and lots of rambutan and lots of mangosteen and all this thing. And the other thing is that, remember that when we buy fruit from overseas, do you know what happens? Number one, they have to pluck the fruit much earlier, so the fruit is not fully ripe. Then the fruit has got to travel. I always say that when the fruit travels, it has a jet lag, So by the time it comes here, we have lost some of the nutrition value. So why don't we eat the fruits that are produced in our own country, and you can pluck the rambutan from your garden and eat straight away, and it has so much more vitamins, minerals, so much more taste as well, right? So I know it is fashionable, when you go to somebody's house to show on the table, this is from Africa, this is from China, this is from here, this is from there. But I always advocate, as far as possible, to eat local. Eat local fruits, eat local vegetables. It's good for the environment, it's good for our own growers. If we don't eat our own fruit, can you imagine Japan, I think, or China buying all our durians, and we don't have durians to eat. But this year we've got that up to. No, I'm an advocate of fruits grown in our own country, fruits and vegetables. I think homegrown any day is better than getting from overseas. Yeah. We've got to be proud of what we have, right? We have to be, whether it is our dress or whether it is our food. This is ours. Anything we get from outside is alien.
So nowadays there are a lot of movements in getting people to grow their own fruits and vegetables. But sometimes I question, like, do the people have access to this kind of information, to these kinds of tools, to the experts who actually grow fruits and vegetables? How can we, like, start first to start? Either we start by eating our local fruits, or we can start gardening.
Well, I think each one, in the big picture, I think the government has got to play a big role in it by encouraging our farmers and giving them concessions, etc., etc. But I think when we are talking about individuals, it's each one of us in our own little house. No matter how small it is, you have a small little plot and you start growing. That's already a start, and there you know that you're getting organic food, and you're getting, and you know, that kind of thing. In our garden at Hasri knows, we've got about 14 fruit trees. So we have our own rambutans, we have coconut, we have sugarcane, we have got mangoes, we've got star fruit, dragon fruit. So you can, similarly, you can also have a small little patch where you can grow some very simple vegetables, kangkong or sawi, or you know, and all different kinds of herbs. Herbs are also very good for us, right? And we have also our ulam raja, and we've got our daun kusum, and we have the daun pandan, and all this. And you start growing your own, so that at least you got enough for yourself. You know what I'm doing? I told you, I'm because of the grandchild. We in our garden, I've cleared one patch like this for him, and his name is Ari. So we say this is Ari's patch, and we've given him seeds to show him how to grow. So he's only 2 years old, so for him it's playful. But we show him, and every time he comes, we show him that he's got to water the plants. And very soon, when he sees the little plants growing, I think this is like a miracle for a child, you know. So we should also start our children to show them that, you know, grow one tree, if not so many trees, right? The other day it was somebody's child's birthday. So, you know, normally for birthday they give gifts to the children. This parent, you know what, they gave each child a little plant, a small little plant. So now this child can go back home with a small little plant and plant that in his garden and see that plant grow. So these are the little things. Again, as I emphasize, it's the children. We have got to show them, and we've got to tell them. But in the big picture, of course, you know, you will have to have more money and so on and so forth. But like you say, you know, to get an ocean, you've got to start with drops and drops and drops. And so each one of us in our own little way, if we can do this kind of thing, then I think, and then it's a lot of fun as well. Yeah.
Auntie, one thing, I noticed that most of your book, you mentioned about Hayley's Vegetarian in the Garden, Hayley series. So can you share with us who is this special character, Hayley's?
Actually, Hayley is my granddaughter. Yeah. When I started to write, my first books were Fantastic and Vegemania for adults, as you know. And then, of course, the moms came to ask me, what do we do? And at that time, Hayley was born. Hayley now is 12 years old. So she was born. So when she was growing up, and I was watching her, then I thought I wanted to write a series of books for children. So then I used her. Actually, her real name is Hayley. Hayley. So I thought it's easier. Hayley is a common name, you know. It can be Chinese, Indian, European, whatever. It's just a name. So we use, and this character is like what she was when she was a 3-year-old. She used to have a little ponytail, and yeah, this one. Yeah. So So that's how Hayley has come about. And now, for me, of course, this is my passion, and I want to leave. This is the legacy that I want to leave behind, and I want Hayley to be the ambassador, the Malaysian ambassador, where she will go around the world and teach all the other children about good food. As you can see in Hayley's basket is full of all healthy food. She's got fruits, she's got vegetables, she's got seeds, nuts, chocolates, everything. Yeah. So that's how Hayley has come about. Just to continue with that, I've just starting on a new series of Hayley. Now that Hayley and it's not only Hayley and her friend Zach. And then she's got her little cat and they've got a little dog. So that's what they travel with. And now we are sending Hayley. Hayley's now starting on her international travels. So Hayley, we're doing five books hopefully by next year. Hayley's going to Japan, she's going to China, she's going to Thailand, she's going to Myanmar, and she's going to go to Vietnam. So the whole aim of this book is for the children. I want somehow or the other the children to identify themselves with Hayley, So she goes to Japan and she meets some Japanese children. So they learn a little bit about the culture of that country, they learn a little bit about the food of that country, and little stories, so that again it becomes something for children to read, and then they can follow Hayley. Where's Hayley now? She's gone to Japan. Where's Hayley now? She's gone to China. What are the Japanese food that we like to eat, like miso soup or some? So there will also be recipes, simple recipes that children can identify with. And today, all of us, right? Maybe about 20, 30, 40 years ago, we always ate makan in our house, or we just go out a little bit. And today, 3-year-old, 4-year-old want to eat Chinese food, want to eat Japanese food, want to eat Korean food, right? All the children, because they're exposed to all kinds of McDonald's and Kentucky Fried Chicken and I don't know, all kinds of things. So it'll be nice for the children to know a little bit about other countries, our neighbors, what they do and how they eat and so on and so forth. Did you know that the Japanese children are the healthiest children in the world? Because of the food that they eat. They are the healthiest children in the world. And not only they're healthy, they're also very disciplined. Very disciplined. So that's what I want to show Hayley, telling them, what they do. In Japan, in the Japanese schools, little children, they have to go in the kitchen to help to cook. They cook, then lepas tu, when they finish, they learn how to clean up and put everything. This is only a discipline, And like when you come home, you take off your shoes and you put them in the proper place. You take out your jacket and you put them in the jacket. We have to teach our children. You come home, you take this, throw. You come home, you throw your shoes there. So I was thinking through these little books, we can show the children how other children in the world, how they live and all the things that they do, which I think should be very interesting. Of course, the biggest problem is to be able to sell the books. Writing is not a problem. But nevertheless, I still feel very strongly that this is my passion. This is something that I want to do, and I will keep on writing as long as I can. And then I'll leave it to Kota Buku to sell the books for me now. You are.
Yeah. Okay, Auntie, I want to ask, but I think you answered my question with this out. I just want to ask, you wrote such amazing children's book. Did you always wanted to be children's author? Is this your dream?
Funnily enough, no. I never ever dreamt that I would write. I never ever dreamt. It just, there's something known as God up above, right? He directs you or which way. I am basically a panchara. I teach university and I teach accounting and I teach management, But yeah, that is what I was trained for, and for years I've been taught teaching in university. But after I got married, then I decided that I wanted to stay home and take care of my children. And so when my children grew up, and then I had plenty of time, then I thought I needed to do something for myself, right? Because for that many number of years, it was in the morning, take them to school, bring them taekwondo, piano lessons, football, like a taxi driver. So now all the children have graduated, everybody is working. So now this last 10 years is my time to do the things that I want to do. And I don't then have to think about Alama, I have to go to pick him up or I have to do this. And so I started, and cooking is my passion. So I always like to cook. So everybody said, write a recipe book. so boring to write a recipe book. So I started to write about fruit because in our house, we eat a lot of fruit. So I thought, let's write about fruit. So that's how it started. And then when I was doing Frutastic and Vegemania, even at that time, I didn't think about children's books at all. It's only after this book came out and the mothers came to me and said, please, what do we do? Our children are not eating fruit and vegetables. So, and at that time, Hayley was born. So it sort of all happened together in autumn. Then I started to write about children's food. These are the first 2 books that I wrote. And everybody enjoyed it. And not only that, then I began to feel in my mind, and now I truly believe that this is something that is very, very important. And this is something that I want to leave behind for the future children of the world, not only Malaysia, but of the world. Yes. So, anytime, don't think that you have to dream from very young. You can dream when you're old, like me.
I think just simple question.
Yes.
Just introduce your books, your series
Yes.
titles, yeah.
Say that again.
I mean, introduce your
Oh, introduce. Yeah, this is the book on seeds. That's the book on fruit. One on vegetables. One on chocolate. One on grains. One on teas. Because tea, there are different kinds of teas, and children must know what is green tea, what is black tea, so on and so forth. And very lovely stories about tea. And then we have pulses and we have nuts. But of all these books, the fruit book has won the most awards. This is seeds. This one. This one. Of course, the whole series have won awards. But this book, the fruit book, we won a Nautilus Award. Nautilus Award is not for food, but it is a book that is wholesome, that gives you idea of wellness, that is stories and so on and so forth. Some of the people who have won, we won silver. There's gold and silver and there's bronze. So we won silver for this one. Some of the people who won Nautilus Awards are like the Dalai Lama, like Deepak Chopra, these are people who write books, like holistic books. So for that we got, and very recently we just got a Book Excellence Award. And this is an award given from London for literary excellence. So it's for I guess, the way you write or the whole book. So this is indeed one of the best books we have. Actually, when you write books, you don't write books for awards, right? But if you get an award, what does it tell you? It reassures you that what you are doing is correct, that other people like it as well. And I think all of us in all our lives, at any time, we need reassurance. You get ready and you say, how do I look? Right? You say, and you write something and you say, what do you think of it? You buy something new. So we are always looking for some kind of reassurance from people. So these books, when you get these awards, it gives me a lot of reassurance that I am walking on the right path, and like I'll end with a quote where I think it was President Obama who said, if you are walking on the right path and you keep on walking, you will eventually make success. So I hope that I'm walking on the right path, and I hope that, and I'm going to keep on walking, and I hope that all of you will join walking with me so that we can now come up with a new generation of very healthy and happy children. That's what our goal is. Yeah?
Okay, I think last question. Ada tak cerita pasal exotic punya buah-buahan macam jering ke, petai ke?
Itu saya tak tahu. Tapi saya tahu ada cerita-cerita untuk durian, rambutan, watermelon, because I have to tell you, I am doing a book on myths and legends of tropical fruits. Tapi most of the cerita bukan from Malaysia. A lot of the cerita is from the Philippines. A lot of the cerita is from Indonesia, and some of them are mostly from Philippines and Indonesia. Others, some cerita from India maybe, and China. Tapi ada cerita banyak. but we don't have our own cerita. I don't know why. But these ceritas are about durian and about the rambutan and about banana. About banana, yeah. You know the cerita about banana, right? Yeah, you know? Enough?
Which one?
Banana, about the banana. You know how the banana came about? There was this very beautiful lady and she fell in love with somebody. Bukan orang lah, he's like a engkau, like a, bukan hantu lah, but not from this planet, from anywhere. So she fell in love with him, and then one day he said to her, I got to go because I can't stay here because I'm not from this country. So she said, please don't go. So she held on to his hand. So she held on to his hand, and he left his hand behind. And so she buried the hand in the ground, and from there the banana tree grew. And that is why we call the bananas are called fingers, and we call it a hand of bananas. Macam ni lah. So like that, we have lots of stories about durian and rambutan. So the children will love stories like that, huh? If you tell them, yeah.
Okay, ada apa-apa soalan lagi? Kalau tak ada, saya cuma saya nak maklumkan memang Kota Buku adalah right agency untuk buku ni, dan kita berbanggalah contoh seperti buku yang ni yang banyak menang award ni, yang baru ni kita sedang berbincang dengan Vietnam dan juga dalam bahasa Hindi dan Maruti di India, dan paling terkini bahasa Mongol di Mongolia. Jadi kita berharap dapat membantu untuk menyebarkan buku yang baik ni lah, bukan saja di Malaysia dan juga di seluruh dunia. Okey, saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Aunty Mohana Gill dan juga kepada semua yang hadir pada sesi resensi buku pagi ini. Okay, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Always pleasure to come to Kota Buku.